of the Performance-Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI Brand Response Council. These 20-ish minute live conversations featuring leaders in the performance marketing world speaking about the hottest topics in the industry are scheduled twice a month. Before we get to today's conversation, a quick housekeeping note. We'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of today's session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them, and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the episode. You know, heading into mid-September here, holiday shopping season is not far off. Some say it's actually already underway, and leading performance marketers have planned e-commerce and retail strategies well in advance. But as consumers continue to change how, when, and where they make their purchase decisions in this omnichannel world, what do those strategies look like? And how can D2C brands find success in what should be an ultra-competitive space? Take 20 host and PDMI Brand Response Council Chair Chris Foster of Modern Postcard is here, along with two experts from the PDMI E-Commerce Council, Buyist Gregory Silvano and DFO Performance's Dave Stellato, to discuss the landscape and what they believe will be the strategies built for success this holiday season. Welcome all. Chris, take it away.
Great, thank you so much, Thomas, and welcome in Greg and David. I'm so excited to have this topic, and it's timely because it has happened. Labor Day's over, September is in its middle point. The NFL began last week, if anybody was paying attention, and several weeks ago, the EPL came back, go Brentford Bees. And it's time now for holiday preparations and shopping. Even Hallmark has actually put their Christmas ornaments up, right? It's ready. And e-commerce is a beast that is being fed globally and domestically. According to Statista, e-commerce projections for 2025 show robust growth, with global sales reaching between $6.86 and $7.4 trillion. You heard that right. Almost $7 trillion globally is going to e-commerce, and a third of the world's population is going to be shopping online, right? That's about billions of people, literally 2 to 3 billion people are going to be shopping online, and a lot of that's going to go mobile. 80% of all retail website visits worldwide are expected to be from smartphones this year. So there's a lot of big global trends, but domestically, there's a ton of demand. All the statistics are showing that this is going to be a very large piece of the action this holiday season. However, the stats don't reveal insights. Beyond that is a big market with a lot of action. So we're going to get into the trends and the micro trends and the macro trends and all the things that brand marketers need to pay attention with these two masters of their craft. So super excited. To get us started, Greg, we'll start with you, and I'd like each of you to talk about your businesses and what you do there.
Sure, I'll keep it quick. Buyist is an e-commerce platform, kind of like a little Shopify, think of it that way, primarily in the direct response TV space, right? So we've done about 5,000 direct response campaigns over the years, and really kind of it, man. We're all about e-commerce.
Yeah, we'll get to how many billions of dollars you guys are seeing through your platform in a bit as the Shopify for the performance space. Mark, why don't you tell us about what you do and your performance business?
Sure. So DFO Performance has been around for about 13 years. We are different than a traditional ad agency because we work in a way where we take on the risk of the media buys. So we put our money where our mouth is to be able to perform with our advertisers and merchants. We are all about e-com. We will help out in lead gen and telehealth as well, but e-com is our bread and butter, and we like to see our partners.
Fantastic. All right, Greg, I'll start with you. On the Buyist platform, you have access to millions of transactions and billions of dollars of e-commerce activity. What kind of data do you see as kind of these compelling storylines for brands? Because all marketers know you've got to turn data into information and information into a story, and those stories help to drive strategy for the business. So what are those big storylines?
I'll convey this with a story, actually. So I had I conducted an interview with AJ Kubani, right, from Telebrand's Bulbhead a few months ago. And, you know, he's been, 4 decades in this industry, one of the biggest, names and certainly one of the biggest successes in this industry. And long interview, they use Buyist, so lots of Buyist questions. And at the end of it, I asked him a question. I was like, it's been 40 years. What has changed? Simple question. He had a 2-word answer. Absolutely nothing. And that is what the data tells us. Absolutely nothing has changed. The basics win. You need real product value, a clear offer, proof that people believe. You needed it 30 years ago. You need it today. It hasn't changed. There's no shiny object that moves away from those fundamentals. You have to make the offer obvious, right? Price, the promise, bonus, risk, reversals stated all in one breath, right? It has to be clear, not cute. You have to show proof, right? DRTV is all about being demonstrable. It has to be something you can see it working and showing. You still need to do that. It hasn't changed, right? There's no change there whatsoever. You want to remove friction. You want to profit over vanity, right? And I love that phrase because it's not about these, stunts. You need to run a business and have successful offers that are profitable, and you need to understand your numbers and your numbers and your math. You have to be consistent, and David, as a marketer, a digital marketer, will 100% agree with this. It's not like a Super Bowl ad. It's consistency over time, right? It hasn't changed. Those TV commercials that were running every single day for month and month and month and month, that's why it worked, because they were consistent with it. And it's the same thing here. And you have to play the long game, right? Try to get repeat customers. It's easier to get money from your existing customer than to find a new customer. That has never changed. It will never change. And that's the kind of stuff. And the data proves that. We look at the brands that are successful on Buyist versus the ones that come and go. When they have those fundamentals down, they succeed, period.
I love it. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And I think that also too, what I really like what you said is that the basics win, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that the reason that I like that a lot is that it doesn't matter what any age of marketer you are, if you're in your early 20s or if you're in your mid 50s, you still have to understand those basics. Even if the tactics and the technology might change, the basics are still there.
The channel might change, right? Maybe you're not TikTok 5 years ago. That stuff changes all the time. Fundamentals do not, though.
Fundamentals do not. That's why they're called fundamentals. I love it. So David, in the mix of helping products with direct selling, right? You're involved with those products, just like Greg talked about in terms of the basics of product selling. DFO also works with affiliates and influencers. Greg just talked about the new channel of TikTok. Influencing is absolutely a brand new channel. What kind of impact do those other channels have when it comes to growing a brand?
Sure. So I think affiliates bring scale and influencers bring authenticity. Affiliates, when they are doing their thing the right way, I mean, they could be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars per day across a variety of different channels, right? I mean, TikTok is obviously the latest and greatest, but the tried and trues of Meta, Google, Bing, even Pinterest and some of the other outlier platforms, depending on the product that you're selling, do very, very well. And when the affiliates can dial it in and measure it, they can scale significantly. Now, I think on the influencer side, the one thing that I'd say it's more evolving is the ongoing coordination of relationships with an influencer. Before it was kind of like one-hit wonders. Let's test a lot of different influencers, see how that can impact the campaign. We're seeing brands now align them more strategically with a specific influencer for the life of that brand. I mean, we've done some work with some notable UFC fighters and trainers with some health and fitness brands, and it's made a big impact. And we can test different angles and different ideas, and then using those two together is very, very complementary.
So I've got a question for you. Back in the Wayback Machine with infomercials and the like, you often would have a spokesperson, right? You would have kind of the face of that brand. And are these TikTok influencers, you think, becoming like spokespeople for this new generation?
I would say yes. I think we're seeing a lot of that. TikTok is still in its infancy and the types of products that are performing well there. It's a lot of lower cost products, a lot of supplements, coffees that are instant, things like that. But we're starting to see more and more of the traditional gadgets, gizmos, bedding, pillows, things like that. And I think the demo is also starting to skew a little bit older too. So
you really touch on something so interesting, right? Where Greg just talked about the basics and the fundamentals that were used back in the infomercial days. now those same best practices are being applied on TikTok. It's a similar type of thing, only the channel is slightly different. The people are slightly different. The people might be influencers, may not be well known except for being an influencer. So again, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's kind of just in a different space. I think that's pretty interesting. And TikTok is a new channel, and the way you go about selling is you have to have different tactics. And Greg, you performance marketers constantly try and test new tactics all the time to see what gets a better result. We're talking about the upcoming holiday season.
Yeah.
Do the tactics change in the holiday season when they need to get as much as they can during this short window?
The tactics do not change, no.
Okay.
They have to test offers at all times. I mean, all year, right? Test offers, test bundles. That's the big thing, right? Look at your orders for the year and say, what did people bundle together? And make that a bundle and test that in September and October and see how that works so that you have it in line for November, December, right? So, start now, clearly. And then you can also use that surge of traffic in in Q4 to get better test results. You're getting a lot more traffic probably in Q4 than you'll be getting in Q1, Q2. So use that to your advantage. Lock down what you're doing in that quarter, but still dedicate a little bit of traffic to run some tests and use that traffic to see if you can get some statistically meaningful results. So I think that's super simple. The tests themselves, offer. Bundle things together, and change around the pricing. Find the offer that resonates with people. That's what it is about. What do you say? What do you offer? How do you offer it? That is what matters. It's not whether the button is blue or red or green. It's not the font. It's the messaging, right? Are you connecting with them with an offer that has a value to them? Super, super important. And then the other one, keep things simple. Don't overcomplicate things. A lot of people, left to their own devices, people tend to test more and more complexity over time. They add things. You can create a bundle and do these things. People don't want to think. Just give them some clear, channels to buy something simple, and then, use post-transaction upsells and downsells maybe to get the average order back up. I think those are the big things. It's definitely start now. Bundles are big. Use the traffic surge to your advantage, and pretty much it.
I like that idea. I got a couple of thoughts on that. Because one might say, well, test as much as I can before Q4, and then lock in on the winning offer only on Q4 to get as much as I can. But you're saying, well, actually, Q4 is a great time to test even more because you get more data. I'm curious also
and it
too.
Doesn't end, right?
It never ends, right?
Business. Yeah.
Now, because what the business can learn is which offers or bundles resonate in Q4 versus Q3 or Q2, because you would assume that there'd be some seasonality.
Right.
When you talk about bundles, I can't help but think this, and it's a theory I can't prove, but Amazon has really coached us to bundle product, to buy a product. I would like this with that, or I'm going to buy this with that. It's easy to get these things together. Do you think that that's had an influence in terms of people's buying behaviors when they're looking for and expecting bundles?
Anything Amazon does has an influence over consumer behavior. It's just a fact. I think bundles in particular, because you already paid for the traffic. They got there, right? The expensive part is over. How do you get your average order value up, and how do you show value to the customer? Well, saying you came here for this, and we're going to give you this stuff for free, maybe, or at a discount, or whatever it is. And then the other thing to bring up Amazon, the other reason bundles are great is that it is a differentiator for your own D2C site if you have an offer or a bundle that is only available on your site.
On the D2C site and not on Amazon. I like that a lot.
Not available in stores, right? That was the big D.
I love that phrase. This offer is not available on Amazon. That's a fantastic. With all respect to Amazon, we love Amazon. We think they're great. But when people want to drive traffic to their specific landing page, I really like that idea.
Which is one last thing, by the way, that you remind me about the importance of Q4. Make sure you own your customer, right? So, get the customer emails, get their customer information on it's important, right? So that's the Amazon. You don't necessarily get that. So it's important to remember that these are your customers. You will be remarketing to them.
That's right.
Lifetime value.
Yeah, and you really want to capture that information. And so, David, when you're talking to your brands in terms of these kind of, capturing information, the holiday season surge, what kind of conversations are you having with your clients ahead of the holidays where they should be spending time and effort? What's your suggestion and advice or your strategic direction have been?
Honestly, it's making sure everything's battle ready. I mean, as Greg said, you're always going to be testing, and I agree wholeheartedly that holidays is the best time to be doing a little bit of split testing because you're going to get such rich data as a part of that process. But honestly, my guys, it's making sure their inventory is on lock, because once you start scaling, you don't want to run out of inventory.
It's a good one.
Right. It's a kiss of death.
It is. And your merchant processing too. Banking redundancy is important, making sure you have the right bulk payment methods, especially if you're selling internationally. Sometimes as Americans, we default and think, okay, credit card, PayPal, Venmo, a few other things, but if you're selling into Europe, Germany, you want Klarna, you want so forth, you want other payment methods that are local to the list of audiences. There's something in the Netherlands called Ideal, which most people have never heard of, but it makes a huge difference to have local audience. So if you are selling internationally, make sure you're all buttoned up, as well with your fulfillment routing and all of those things. But it's really about getting everybody, making sure everything's dotted and crossed and that they're ready for go time. And then that their pages are set up appropriately so that they can reuse that data, right? You want to be able to get the opt-ins for SMS and emailing, all of that, because once you own that customer, as Greg said, that's huge value. You can cross-sell them and you can test new products that way too.
So I've got a question, David. When you talk about go time, in your mind, when you think of the holiday season, what date is go time?
I mean, honestly, it was September 1st, but it's, anything once the kids are back in school, it's go time. But no, all kidding aside, I mean, once we start rolling into October, a lot of our business affiliate marketing, we do what's called listicle marketing. And that's, you guys have probably seen these before. They're pages where it's the top 25 must-haves for this holiday season, or the gift everyone should get mom.
Got it.
A wide variety of different offers. And it gives the opportunity for affiliates to get multiple bites of the apple, because people who buy off of these types of listicles will typically buy multiple products off of them. And so this is our time of year where we're going through and we're doing that testing. We're seeing what products should be in position 1, what should be in position 10, what's the bonus offer at the bottom of the listicle. And so really, I'd say, things really need to be dialed in by October 1 at the absolute latest.
October 1 for launch, so they should be working right now to be prepared to flip the switch and push live on October 1.
For scale, I mean, they should be live at absolutely September 15th. We want to get them really going, but again, things are really going to start taking off into October, because once you get into the later October, I mean, that's when people who've already been doing their testing and seasoning their media pixels, that's when they can really start scaling up, and then it's going to become much more competitive for people.
Roger. Well, you did use 2 words that was music to Greg's ears, the bonus offer. He was like, oh, I love a good bonus offer at the bottom of the page.
He had me in inventory, I'll be honest with you.
And the Buyist platform handles all of that. It handles the offers. It handles all the stuff you need from a tactical selling perspective, because from what you've told me and what I've read about you and Buyist, Greg, it looks like you've had to rebuild the whole platform several times. I don't know if anybody's a Marvel fan. I'm a huge Marvel fan, the comics and the movies. There's the movie Avengers Age of Ultron, where Ultron keeps destroying himself because he's bigger Ultron, right? So Ultron shows up and he's big and mean, and then he gets destroyed, and behind him's a bigger Ultron, right? He's like, oh, right? So it's kind of like Buyist Ultron's itself. And you have to do that because you're building in new tools. You're getting feedback from your clients. You're learning from the industry. They say, gosh, I wish we could, or wouldn't it be nice if, and you're like, Roger that. To do that, we have to Ultron our site, our platform. You can use that, by the way. That's yours for free.
I'm literally going to. Yeah, there's
absolutely. No question. So tell me, now you're going to plan an next iteration. You got to Ultron yourself going into 2026. What kind of tools are you seeing that you need to put into this new version, and what feedback and how did you choose those tools to begin with?
So it's funny, we when ChatGPT came out, we heavily pivoted to some AI stuff and just, sandbox and experimenting and see what it could do with us. And we went through 4 iterations of new versions of the platform and never released a single one of them because it was moving so fast, and our plans were able to get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And it got to the point where this year we finally figured out, what we're going to do. And it launches actually this month. So in September.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Right ahead for October, but it's go time. So David's like, you're timing it for go time. Let's go.
I'll tell you, it's kind of awesome. It's a new platform. It is a new platform called Aware, AUWARE. You can go to aware.com right now and see just a little logo and a little tagline, and the site will launch at some point next week. And it is a tool for digital marketing agencies that integrates with Buyist and Shopify. So it is a platform agnostic digital marketing tool that we have been running internally. And what it does is it offers post-click hyper personalization, hard word to say when I have my false tooth in right now, hyper personalization at scale. And the results, I got actually a couple results that I pulled up here. Baseline conversion rate, 1.76%. Audience 1, 2.8%, which was a 56% increase. Audience 2, 3.76, 110% increase. And audience 3 was 4.07% conversion rate with a 127% increase over the baseline. No code, no learning curve, live in 30 minutes.
That's it. That's your pitch right there, folks. That is fantastic. Super excited
awesome
to learn more about Aware, AUWARE.com. Check it out, folks. And then, of course, if you have any questions about how you can use your product and sell that product using the Buyist platform, you know where to reach this guy. So I want to wrap up because we're past the, which is great because you guys are awesome and we could do this for hours. You talked earlier, David, about the power of influencers, and we talked about them kind of being the new spokesperson. Greg, you mentioned earlier that it's kind of a new channel. And then David, you mentioned even earlier that affiliate is for scale and influencers are for authenticity. So now e-commerce brands need to think about influencers. How does influencer marketing in 2025 holiday season change so that e-commerce brands can get more exposure, and what should they do to take advantage of this natural authenticity from influencers?
I think the biggest thing where typically brands fall short, at least from what we've seen, is they'll use the influencer and the creative on the social platforms. They might salt and pepper it on the landing page, but they're not fully embracing it for all the creatives. I think making sure you're utilizing it and recycling that content and add creatives, email creatives, even on post-purchase email upsells. That's something that we found makes a big difference, just keeping that consistency. I mean, you're working with that influencer, you're paying that influencer, you might as well leverage them to the full tilt. And we've seen this even previously from traditional influencers using some of the as seen on TV personas, right? And how they've leveraged them on television, and then we can take that and utilize them on creatives for digital. And it makes a big impact. And it just continues to communicate that message consistently across.
I love that. And I think that's a really great insight, David, that you just had, because in the previous years, an infomercial spokesperson could only be front of sale. They could only get you to buy. They couldn't carry it all the way through. But now that influencers can be captured digitally, either through pictures or through video, emailing afterwards is post-purchase, even Facebook or Meta ads to previous existing customers, even if they've bought already, they see that face going through the entire customer journey.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And again, you're working with the influencer at the work.
Yeah, I love it. That's fantastic. Well, guys, we are almost at 11:30. Thomas, I'm sure we have plenty of questions from our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Great conversation, guys. Not shocking. Thank you for that. We got like 3 questions here that give a different, some different angles to things. First one, excuse me. Apparently I should have had a drink of water before I came back on. What's the biggest difference in the customer's journey from awareness to transaction this year during the holiday season versus last year or any other holiday season? Anything sticking out?
If I were to guess, maybe tariff-induced caution, maybe kind of making sure that the price is the price. I would imagine more people are doing that.
That's
Thing that comes
interesting.
to my mind. Yeah,
You know,
because I've actually seen it when talking to people.
I've
Yeah.
seen it in the helm. So true
Yeah.
story. We were in Norway this summer for a vacation. My daughter buys a necklace in Norway. Here, she's home, blah, blah, blah. The clasp on it breaks. She's like, oh, I've got to get a new clasp. It cost her $80 because of the tariff for
Right.
a new clasp.
Right.
And it was sent COD via UPS. So the guy came up and I was like, oh, great, thank you. And he was like, you got to pay for it. I was like, I gotta pay for that. He's like, yeah, you got to pay a check for $80, friend. And I was like,
Yeah.
and it was one of those things. But the tariff made a clasp, an $80 clasp, to be shipped from Europe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Will it have a meaningful impact on the $7 trillion in e-commerce sales? I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked if people are kind of like maybe looking a little more carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good
Go ahead,
question.
Dave.
I don't have anything additional to add to that, but the one thing I will note on the tariff thing that I've seen that's been an interesting test angle, a lot of people have been doing these ads where they're highlighting that you need to take advantage and get deals now before higher tariffs begin, which I've seen different brands test.
There we go.
The more popular trend. So we'll see how that will either last or die before the holiday ads roll out. But
And maybe even calling out ships from the USA, something like that. Maybe that'll actually mean something to people.
You guys actually walked me right into the next question. We've seen reports of the giant dip in international mail entering the US. I don't know if anyone saw that, but 81% fall off in international mail entering the US the first week after August 29th. And then Chinese exports also hit a low point in August, down 33% year over year. How is this going to affect brands, marketers, consumers, or did the brands and marketers get themselves ahead of the game in time this year? And is this a 2026 problem?
I think it depends on the brand. I know that the guys who are big enough to definitely move quickly to get a lot of inventory brought in ahead of time. The smaller guys, I think it's TBD to see how it impacts them. I know there's definitely some guys who are struggling right now.
Makes sense. Greg, you have anything?
No, I think that's the right answer.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. And one more. If each of you could recommend a marketing tactic that brands must do or can't succeed without in today's e-com heavy world, what is it?
Email campaign. Your own CRM must have one. Period. End of my statement. David?
I concur with that, and I would say the icing on the cake to that is a proper SMS.
What was it?
SMS.
Oh,
So,
yeah, great.
with proper,
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention you should do direct mail retargeting on your e-commerce websites to hit direct mail for the website customers who actually don't convert. It layers on top of the digital presence, getting extraordinary response rates and return on ad spend.
I should have said that. I am sorry, Chris.
You're fine. I did.
That's good. Chris, I have an anecdote for you and in support of you. We buy tickets for the Nutcracker in Boston every year, and I had 2 emails in my inbox and like with the promo code, and I just kept like skimming past them. And what showed up in my mailbox on Saturday? The postcard. And when did I buy my tickets? Last night.
Absolutely. It just hangs around.
There you go. Oh, thank you all, Dave, Greg, Chris. Appreciate you being here. Well done, and thank you again. Our next Take 20 episode is scheduled for next Wednesday, September 17th, when we'll feature a conversation on how e-retail events like Amazon Prime Days or Target Circle Days affect how performance brands market their products around those events. Please visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register for the webinar and check out the upcoming schedule. And a reminder, we're closing in on PDMI West in San Diego just 3.5 weeks from now, October 6th through 8th. Badges are $395 for PDMI members and $595 for non-members. And for 5 more days, badge holders can earn access to discounted hotel rooms in the PDMI's block at the host hotel, Intercontinental San Diego. That block is currently priced nearly $200 less per night than the hotel's online rate. But right now, we can only guarantee the rate through September 15th. Get registered and get your room now. Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-West to get things moving. Thanks again for checking out this episode of the Take 20. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.